I'm really excited to welcome Victoria Davies, Managing Partner of Davies, Stoychev and Partners, and Richard Vivian, Director of Programming and Value-Added Services at Virgin Media O2 to the stage. Please put your hands together.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Morning, everyone.
Hi, everyone. So we're super excited to be talking about multi-channel fast in a pay environment today, which I think is a pretty new innovation and definitely a hot topic within the industry. So first of all, my name is Victoria Davies. As Sam said, I am the Managing Partner at Davies, Stoychev and Partners, which is a media consultancy, where we focus on international market expansion, revenue diversification and growth strategy, and content and product strategy. I've been in the industry just over 15 years, most recently in-house as the General Manager of Central Eastern Europe, Mediterranean, Turkey and Central Asia for Warner Brothers Discovery. Maybe that's a hint to Sam's intro. And I'm, of course, very close to pay TV and super excited to learn more about this topic today. So, Richard, maybe you can just tell us a little bit more about you.
Sure. I'm Richard Vivian. I'm Director of Programming and Value-Added Services at Virgin Media O2. To unpack that title a bit, that means I have an editorial and commercial role across both the fixed side of our business, which is obviously Virgin Media, and the mobile business O2. So, content strategy, we're looking at that now across both those bases. I've worked in the business 20 years with a short break living in Kenya, hence the intro.
Lovely, very interesting. So I guess putting today's conversation in context, it is of course no surprise to anybody that there's a huge explosion in streaming. Virgin Media O2 already have integrated streaming apps such as Disney+, Netflix and so on. But I think what's incredibly interesting is that you've taken this evolution a step further, looking at multi-channel fast and really how you evolve the pay TV guide with this evolution. First of all, taking a step back, Richard, how do you see Virgin Media O2 actually evolving the proposition based on the new demands of the customer looking for content in a different way?
Sure, look, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Customer demands and needs are definitely changing. We've already got two very clear propositions in the market which target two different customer cohorts. So we've got our TV 360 product, which is a more traditional pay TV. So think big bundles, PVR recording, big piece of set-top box. That's very much our core demographic in our base, but we acknowledged probably a couple of years ago that those demands were changing for customers. So we launched our Stream product, which is a small form factor, but very much app-centric with linear channels. So we've already got two propositions in the market. I think there's probably two or three other things that are happening in the market that really made us look at fast as an opportunity. So first and foremost, we saw the competition was changing. Connected TVs have definitely gone into that fast space in a big way. So that made us kind of sit up and look at that. We also know that there's a growing base of IP-only customers. So these are customers who don't connect their DTT aerial to their TV sets. They're receiving their channels by IP. We know over time that's going to get bigger and bigger. It's actually had an impact on content supply as well. So content providers are providing IP channels to target that group. So how could we harness that change in supply of content? And then I think probably more generally, we're probably all aware in the room in a shift in viewing behaviours. So whether it's from linear to VOD, there is a decline in viewing to traditional pay TV channels. There's a big growth in SVOD, and actually that shift has also led to a reduction in the number of basic pay TV channels in the market. So there's a bit of a space there and an opportunity. So that's really why we wanted to look at FAST and get involved in it and launch a portfolio of channels.
That's super interesting. So obviously then, I suppose, looking at the cord cutters, you know, the reduction in pay TV channels, there would be several strategies that you could take towards that. What is it that you think with FAST specifically, what do you think that brings to the party or brings as an opportunity that maybe other options don't?
Yeah, I think it's meeting a couple of needs. I mean, our base is split roughly. We've got a pay TV base, a bunch of customers who traditionally watch kind of basic pay channels. So I think FAST is definitely complementary to that group. As I said, there's a bit of a gap where we've seen the reduction in the volume of pay TV channels. So they're very similar in terms of nature, in terms of content, in terms of profile. So naturally, FAST will appeal to those basic pay subscribers. Unlike other kind of pay TV platforms in the UK, we have also got a big free TV base. So they take a set-top box from us, they access their Freeview channels through that set-top box, but they don't buy through to pay. So actually offering FAST to that group, it's a great opportunity. So we're offering more than DTT, which is great. But also it's an upsell. It's a bit of a taster for what pay TV can be like, because a lot of the brands and content that we have on the FAST channels are actually pay TV brands and content. So it's a really good opportunity for that free-to-air audience to have exposure to a kind of broader content offering. But look, we should also talk about performance, because we've launched 14 channels, so actually we've already got some data on how they're kind of performing. So look, there was definitely a big bump around launch, as you would expect. Those audiences are stabilising a bit now, but we've got 2 or 3 learnings already from that. So we know UK content is performing much better than US. So again, that's not dissimilar to some of the things that we see in pay TV. The most popular genres are probably paranormal, true crime, and cooking content. So those have really struck home with our audience. So that's a good insight. And I think when you look at performance as a whole, it's on certain days, individual channels and the portfolio of FAST as a whole on the Virgin base, that's kind of on a par with mid-sized pay TV portfolios. So it's definitely found a home, it's definitely found an audience, and that audience are kind of coming back and watching that and engaging with the content. So we're very, very pleased with how it's performed to date.
Fantastic. Can you actually share a few examples of the FAST channels that you've got on?
Yeah, definitely. So in those genres that have worked well, so we've got mystery TV and haunt TV are probably the paranormal ones that have worked really well. In true crime, we've got crime TV, and then kind of cooking content, we've got Great British Menu. So those are kind of our top performing channels at the moment.
Fantastic. I think it's really interesting as well just to hear about the UK content actually performing stronger than US content, and that obviously you're looking at thematic channels and really those, I suppose, sticky types of content that are really working well for you there. And so with that context, how have you built out the content strategy for FAST? How did you first, when you first decided that you were going after that strategy, how did you decide what the genres would be, how you would approach it, and I suppose differentiate that from the pay TV offering?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, actually, speed to market was crucial because we saw an opportunity. So we're very proud that we were the first pay TV operator in the UK to launch a portfolio of FAST, so that's really proud. So we launched the project in January last year, and we came to market in August. Wow. So that's a really quick kind of launch timeline for us. We've definitely taken a curated approach. So this is not a volume play. So we're not trying to replicate what was old school basic pay TV by volume. So we've taken a kind of phased approach. It's a test and learn. So we launched 14 channels last year. So relatively small compared to maybe some of the other players in the market. But that was phase 1, and we're now entering kind of the phase 2 of the project with the learnings that we've got from phase 1. So we are going to expand the content offering. in our minds, we probably want to get to about 50 channels in total. So again, it's not a volume play, it's kind of capped out. We started with the general entertainment genre, because that was very much where we thought it was going to be the broadest appeal for FAST. And again, we wanted to get as many learnings as possible. And as we go into phase 2, which has started already this year, we're going to broaden out the scope and the number of genres that we're going to launch on the platform. So that's actually already started. You will have seen, we announced earlier this month when we launched it, was the DAZN's Women's Football channel. So that's our first foray into FAST in sport genre. So there's more to come this year in other genres. I don't really necessarily want to talk about all of the detail, but we're going to expand into some of those strong genres where traditionally basic pay has been really successful. So I'm sure it doesn't take a rocket scientist to put together where we're going to go. So definitely, we've started small, it's created, and now we're expanding. I think also, it's been a really good opportunity to work with both some of our existing content partners, but also some new content partners, because some of the content owners who traditionally have kind of licensed this to channel providers in the UK, we've never had that interaction. So, to get the project to market so quickly, we've all had to work in a really collaborative way. And as I said, it's both with existing content partners and new content partners. So that's been a kind of a fresh approach for us. And we've had to have a very flexible approach with those content partners. So we're not trying to replicate pay TV. I come from a licensing background where traditionally those pay TV deals were medium to long-term deals. You were fixed with the portfolio of channels that the channel provider had. You signed the deal and that was pretty much it. So, the win-win in this scenario is where we get audiences, we drive advertising revenue, that works for the channel provider, it works for us, it's obviously working for the customer because they're watching the channels. So that's the kind of the real sweet spot in the model. So, we've taken a flexible approach to licensing with our content partners, and we've said, look, if the channels are going up, we've got real-time data, again, which is something that is new for FAST. If the channels aren't performing, we might need to tweak that lineup of what's in our offering, and we need to be much more agile about that than traditionally maybe the pay TV deals where you'd be stuck with a portfolio of channels for a longer term deal. So that's really the approach. It's created, we've launched phase 1, it's been on Gen Ent, we're now going to phase 2 and expanding into different genres.
Yeah, that's super interesting, and I think just obviously coming from the content provider's background, this change of mindset to being more flexible, where it is about getting the immediate feedback from the audience and kind of adjusting your product in that way, I think that's new for both sides of the table, isn't it? And I guess that would have been quite, a challenge, but also a great opportunity for both sides to diversify revenue streams, where I think we've just seen from the previous presentation that that's something that all sides are also looking to see how they can build out new revenue streams. Yeah,
definitely. And look, we've had some content partners approach us, and they've approached it in a much more traditional way. So they've said, here's a big bulk of channels, we want a long-term deal, and we've politely said to them, look, this is FAST, we need to work in a different way, the opportunity is different. And everyone's come on board on that, and as I said, we've worked very collaboratively with our partners to get the portfolio up that we've got.
Interesting. And then in terms of the UX, so that presumably is also quite difficult, or not difficult, but different in terms of how you build that out versus traditional pay TV, and again, the differentiation. Can you tell us a bit about how you went about building out the UX for FAST within the pay TV environment? I think that's what's very interesting, because that's quite a new thing.
Yeah, definitely, and I think we like to think our approach on this is quite unique as well. We really wanted to have FAST channels as an integral part of our EPG, the electronic program guide, where we list our linear channels. So we didn't want it kind of ostracized in its own area. So our EPG is actually regulated by Ofcom, so we had to do a lot of work prior to the launch to just get our ducks in a row, and we did some channel moves within the EPG to create a bespoke space for fast. So in the 200s, at the beginning of the 200s on our EPG, in the 100s you have general entertainment, at the top of the 200s you have access points for the SVODs, and then immediately after that we've put our fast channels. So that's an incredibly prominent position. So again, as I said, we haven't hidden them away or put them in a separate section. We want customers to experience them pretty much the same as our standard linear channels within the EPG. Now that's, again, not necessarily been easy because obviously there's a different delivery methodology for fast, they're IP delivered. So we've worked really, really hard with Amagi, who are our technical partner, who've done a brilliant job of presenting those channels in the EPG next to our linear channels. So it's a pretty seamless experience for customers flipping between a traditional linear channel and a new fast channel. But that's been really important for us to have it there and integral and prominent.
Yeah, I guess that's also the interesting point, isn't it? That we talk about fast, we talk about pay TV, but at the end of the day, the customer, they don't care about, you know, what we call fast or, you know, how those channels are procured. Ultimately, they want the entertainment experience.
Exactly.
So you're focused on how you deliver that seamlessly. And then I guess probably to finish off would be super interesting to hear what are the learnings that you've had now with Fast being live for just over 6 months, I guess it is now. What are the learnings that you're taking forward?
Well, I mean, the whole thing's been a learning project for us because you know, it's been new, it's been different. If you think about our content deals, you know, they are different. As I said, we work with some existing partners, but definitely with some new partners. So that's been a kind of new experience for us. The kind of structure of those deals, we've touched on that a bit. You know, the revenue model in a basic pay deal, you know, we would never traditionally get access to ad sales revenue or ad sales inventory. So again, that's been new and a learning for us, and we're building on that. The technology side, working with Amagi, that again has been completely different because, you know, we've got in-house tech, so bringing in an outside partner to work with us. And I think if we go back to the kind of commercial model, you know, again, that's been a new model. It's been new revenue for us. We've worked very hard with our ad server partner, SpringServe. They, again, have done a brilliant job. But for us, really, that market is about scale. And so we really need to build advertising scale in that market to drive revenues. And part of that is our going to phase 2. Part of that is having our flexible approach to make sure that we weed out some of the channels that aren't resonating with our audience. So there's a huge amount of learnings in there. We're just at the beginning. We're really excited about kind of phase 2 that's happening this summer. And so we'll build from there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Richard. I think that was a really fascinating insight into the creation of Fast within the pay TV environment. So congratulations on the successful launch and for sharing all of that with us. And thank you to the audience as well
Thanks,
for your attention.